Looking for tickets to the hottest shows, games, and events? Ticket Liquidator is your one-stop shop for great prices, no hassles, and guaranteed tickets. Since 2003, we've been connecting buyers and sellers, providing access to sold-out events at prices lower than most secondary market options. Whether it's sports, theater, or concerts, our massive nationwide network ensures you get the tickets you want, guaranteed. For the best seats at the biggest events, start with Ticket Liquidator today at ticketliquidator.com. That's TICKETLIQUIDATOR.com. Ticket Liquidator. Calling all Marvel fans, get Marvel Unlimited and unlock over 30,000 comics featuring your favorite heroes and iconic stories, all available to read anytime, anywhere. Plus, for a limited time, use promo code MUHoliday24 and save $50 off your subscription. Whether you're into classic tales or the latest adventures, there's something for everyone. Don't miss out. Head to marvel.com/unlimited today and start your Marvel journey now. This is a Rogue Media Network podcast.
Welcome to the Astrology Table podcast.
Please take a seat. I'm April.
I'm Rachel.
And I'm Jordan.
And this is the Astrology Table podcast. Today we are talking the new moon at 9 degrees of Aquarius happening on Wednesday, the 29th of January at 6:37 in the morning. As a reminder for everyone, Aquarius is our fixed air sign ruled by Saturn. It's the 11th sign in the zodiac, represented by the water bearer, rules the lower legs and the circulatory system. So it brings us the life-giving fluid and in our bodies as well as on the earth. How are we feeling about this Saturnine moon, y'all?
I feel like it's going to be refreshing for me personally.
Heard.
It's felt very like low.
We've had two rough moons.
Yeah, it's been a little rough.
The moon in Capricorn and then the moon in Cancer conjunct a fallen Mars. So tough moon with Capricorn, least favorite, and then moon conjunct Mars in least favorite place. So I feel like, yes, refreshing.
Yeah, I've been irritable, like very frustrated.
Yeah, and overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think one thing I love about this transition, we always make a big deal about New Year's resolutions happening in Capricorn season. But really, Aquarius is the sign of forward thinking in the visionary.
I love that.
And so I really feel like now is the time to do your vision board for the year.
Yeah.
Or it's not so much like set goals, but create a vibe for what you want.
We're actually going to start going to the gym this week.
See?
Like I am. Like it's a small thing that I'm like, I just need to go at least a couple times a week.
Yo, Saturn and Capricorn over here has been doing the gym, like not doing the substances. I've been on my shit.
Focused,
yeah. I've been on my shit too, but like I feel like it's been out of duty or like obligation.
There's no emotion connected to it.
And now we can like, but it feels good to do it.
I'm allowed to feel good.
Yeah.
And you guys are totally already foreshadowing the closest aspect that this moon is making to any planet, and that is a trine to Jupiter, our greater benefic, higher good, higher purpose. Jupiter retrograde at 11 Gemini. So those goal-setting vibes, that kind of getting in your element or feeling positive.
Yeah.
Last time it was Mars, this time it's Jupiter. So we like that.
We like that so much. I think there's been so much intensity in the collective with this Mars in retrograde, the Cancerian influence. I mean, just looking at fires and everything going on in LA, like what is
home wrecking,
literally. I mean, and as the nodes were shifting, like I think the worst of the fires, 0 degrees of Aries. So we're talking blowing things up, fire, coming for the home wrecking literally. And then one thing I thought was interesting, as we moved out of the South node.
In Libra, yeah.
In Libra, it's like culture, it's actors, it's all of these things that these signs rule. We're really seeing the influence of the nodal shift come into play.
And TikTok got banned last night.
The whole TikTok
thing. Yes,
that
went dark.
That was like,
Yeah, we are recording this a few days early, so TikTok just went dark for us.
Yeah.
And
that's a cultural, that's a huge impact. Like on a lot of
Aquarius,
people.
Community groups.
South Node in Virgo, a mercurial connective tool, is going dark. Yeah, absolutely.
So all these things we're seeing play out in the culture.
And Jupiter retrograde is close to stationing, but I feel as if that retrograde element is still going to be very important. I'm feeling a lot of re-education, rededication, rediscovery.
Yeah, I like that you put
re-energizing.
Reevaluating.
Oh, hell yeah.
I love that term. I think that's like a great way to explain it.
And the word value in there too.
Yeah.
Jupiter, it governs what we value and what we're here to learn, what we're here to teach. And I feel like, so Jupiter's in Gemini, right? Air sign vibes. And then this moon is in Aquarius, again, air sign stuff. But we've got Saturn, Mercury, Jupiter, all air signs. I feel like that has kind of a sober, even though this is a more positive moon, it's serious.
Yeah.
We're getting serious about goals.
Yeah.
Getting serious about what we care about, right?
Approaching things from a sober mindset, maybe a clearer mindset.
I love that.
Yeah.
Being able to think really clearly.
Yes.
Because if you think about sobriety, like having a clear head and being in control, this is kind of that as well.
You're forced to kind of approach things in that way.
Yeah, it's like epiphany moments but it can, with Jupiter, expands everything it touches. We could be overthinking, but if we want to bring it back down, it's like, let's reevaluate, rethink, reimagine.
Because I feel like you will be feeling or noticing your insecurities a lot, but in a different approach.
But I think that they're coming up to come out.
Oh, yeah. It's a good thing. I mean, it comes with challenges, right? But if you have that sober mentality, it's like, okay, well, like I'm going to have to face this regardless. I can't escape it.
And we are also referencing the fact that this new moon is co-present with Mercury at 2 Aquarius and Pluto at 1 Aquarius. So they're still virtually conjoined. Mm-hmm. Mercury does well in Aquarius, right? It's one of those triplicity rulers of air signs. Mm-hmm. But being so close to Pluto, again, underscoring the seriousness of this moon, Pluto doesn't do anything light or gentle.
No, it's a wrecking ball.
Mm-hmm. So I feel like there are consequences, positive and negative. And some like more, those realizations are they're more like epiphanies, April, like you said.
Right.
They're not just little recognitions like, oh, fun synchronicity. It's like, no, pay attention here. Like, listen.
What does this mean? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like whatever big, I feel like there's going to be flashing lights of truth that we have the option to see. So it's like, there's that meme where it's like, I'm asking for a sign and there's like someone holding up like, this is your sign to XYZ. It's like going to be obvious. Like there's the man with the sign standing up saying, do this. So pay attention. You kind of have to be delusional to miss it. But as humans, we're very good at
with North Node conjunct Neptune, we could be so
delusional. We could be so delusional. So it may take a wallop over the head for us to get the message.
I saw a really great, and this is just kind of a overarching to like this theme, I guess, is what is making me think of it. It was a piece of art that I got off of TikTok, but I did save it, into my camera roll, and I don't have the artist's name off the top of my head, but it's a drawing, and one of the characters in the drawing, it says, will things be okay? And then the other character says, it will be different. So, it might not be okay in a sense of like, you think it's okay, but just know that it'll be different. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was interesting.
I forget which of my mom's parents, but one of them typically says, you're either okay or you're dead.
Yeah.
Like,
those are the two options. If you're not dead, you're okay.
Yeah, you're okay. You're still here.
I feel like that's Mercury, Pluto.
Right.
Are you alive?
Oh,
yeah.
Here you are.
Here you are. Yes.
And the ruler of this moon, Saturn, is indeed in Pisces with that North Node speaking to the delusion. But she's pretty close to Venus and Neptune, who are also there. So I feel like this has a more spiritual, emotional flavor, even with all the dry air sign communication, expression, exchange, orientation.
Good. I need that. I need hope.
It could also be like real, like let's cry our eyes out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I need that too.
It's such a good release. Let the tears come.
Catharsis.
Yeah.
Catharsis, yeah.
I have in here too self-undoing, because Pisces is, well, let's just put it this. Aquarius is 12 signs from Pisces. So the moon will be 12 signs away from its ruler, and it will then have 12 house themes, which are mental and emotional and spiritual.
Yeah.
And on the high end, it can be like unity, empathy, compassion. On the low end, it can be depression, addiction, anxiety, right? So how are we going to do that self-undoing, right? There might be a little bit of wayfinding we have to do, but it might feel a lot.
Right.
With
But
Mercury, Pluto,
it's still necessary in the end, right?
Necessity is a very Aquarian thing as well.
Oh yeah, having exactly. Maybe you don't have everything you want, but you have what you need.
Right.
Practicing the mantra of just everything that I need for today, I have. Just like I have what I need today.
Yes.
It's enough. Today is
I
enough.
love that.
And just focus on
staying present.
Yeah, staying present and, not focusing too far into what can happen, but what is in the now.
Yeah.
Especially with Mercury, Pluto, I'm feeling a lot of conviction, a lot of belief. I mean, you got Jupiter in there. So I'm feeling like we might even have some sort of mission drive. Like, okay, I'm finding faith or refinding my faith, or maybe revising the way that I think about that sort of connection to the divine in my own life. But there could be a bit of grief around the loss of a previous paradigm.
Ooh.
I 100% get that. I think it's like, coming out of different systems, maybe you want to say like, screw corporate America, I'm anti-capitalist. But then there's grief around, losing things.
Right.
It could be whatever the ideology is that you're walking away from. Allow yourself to grieve it and know that you're walking into something better and receive the new.
Right.
And the change, like you mentioned.
Right. Yeah. There's always grief with change, I think.
Yeah.
Like Neo in the Matrix, right? He would always red pill himself.
Yeah.
But still, it doesn't make it easy.
No, not at all.
Well, you can't go back. I think this moon is something like with the Mercury Pluto that we will not be able to unsay, come back from.
Wow. Yeah. That is powerful.
There could be a lot of admissions too. I'm looking forward to headlines personally as a little voyeur over here. But also in relationships, I think we need to be very thoughtful about what we say, because things that we say, especially having Libra has just been cleaned out, right by that South Node. But now the South Node is in Virgo, which is Mercury's sign. There might be stuff we say that absolutely toothpaste cannot go back in the tube.
Yeah.
And it could make big change.
We got to watch it.
Yeah, whether you want it or not.
But luckily, this moon is also averse, or it's not seeing both malefics, so Saturn and Mars, which to me is, I'm loving this. This is a relief from the stress or that frustration. Absolutely.
I'm looking forward to, I just love this idea of relief from pain, temporary relief, and anesthetic, assuaging guilt. This is like being able to release some of that. So it just like feels like we can let go of self-hatred or negative self-talk. That there's this reprieve from the weight of the world being so intense, and being able to lean into that spiritual kind of divine enlightenment moment. And it's like meditating with mental freedom. Yeah. Like you're not in that racing thoughts kind of moment. It's being able to channel healing energy into your body if you're working on healing something, or you're struggling with some kind of a health issue. Virgo, South Node, like releasing health problems could be really powerful. So this is like, I would definitely take a moment for meditation and for letting your body lean into, like, do yoga, do some kind of movement practice, even just walking. Yeah. That feels very rhythmic. I feel like that is you taking some of your power back too, right? 100%. Yeah.
Plutonic. And both the sun and the moon are under stress. The sun's in Aquarius, right? Where it does not, this is a sign of its detriment or difficulty in expression, because expressing the self through the collective is hard. And the moon, even though the moon is fine in Aquarius, no big debility or no big detriment, it is still having to deal with Mars in its own house. And Mars hates being in Cancer. So both of them have shit to deal with that is not easy. And I think everyone can relate in your own life. There's something in your life that you're trying to deal with, and it's not easy, even if everything else is going okay.
This just doesn't seem to be going away. It's kind of like nagging at you, right?
Mars retrograde. And for everybody's reference too, if you can remember back to August of 2022 to March of 2023, that was the last Mars retrograde period that we experienced. And so the idea of that angst or that, difficulty in forward motion, that time period is reflective of that. And what's cool though is that was Mars in Gemini, and Jupiter is now there. So Jupiter's cleaning up whatever you were stressed about then. I'm sure it's not the same thing you're stressed about now.
Oh yeah, it's been cleaned out for sure. But the theme of that, or that same kind of energy, could be applied to something different or adjacent to.
Exactly right. And on the same day as this moon, Mercury does conjoin Pluto. So they're a degree apart when the moon actually happens. But having Mercury and Pluto, Mercury is Hermes, right, in the mythology. And Hermes is the messenger god. He's one of the only gods that can actually go down to the underworld, to Hades' realm, and, send and receive messages. So there might be a bit of like, if you're someone who's a spiritual folk, there might be a bit of messages from the beyond or mediumship, or like, bring out your tarot cards. If that's your vibe. If it's not, if you're like, oh no, I do not want that. You're listening to an astrology podcast.
Make it your vibe.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah.
Be open.
Might be deep thoughts, confessions, admissions, and maybe even like a rebirth of something in that Aquarius sector of your chart.
Ooh.
Yeah, pay attention to that. Would be great. So if you're like, okay, maybe I will play with tarot and do a reading with myself or with someone else, and you're like, what question do I ask? Look at where Aquarius is in your chart. If it's in a particular house or particular planet sign, that we could use that as a reference point and try to get some clarity around those issues.
I know a lot of people, especially those who are Christian leaning or Christ followers, have a difficulty with accepting any of these things because it feels like it's satanic. However, intention is everything, right? And you can intend for the highest and the lightest, or you can have the, self-aggrandizing, the, greedy. You can have other intentions. And I feel like this is a time when we've got your heart's in the right place, Venus and Pisces, you can really get some incredibly potent and meaningful information.
Yeah.
I always say that the energy you get back is the energy you put in. So anything in any context can be used for good or for harm. And so if you are choosing light, and I will say, as if you're starting to do energy work, doing readings, working with any kind of tools like tarot, oracle decks, etc., one thing I always like to say is you can set energetic boundaries. So blessing the space or your deck, doing some Palo Santo burning or sage burning, and say things like, I'm inviting in messages that are for my highest good, in service of unconditional love.
Right.
And setting that intention, that boundary, will then help keep any kind of that negativity from coming in.
If you like to think of it as the Holy Spirit, think of it that way.
And I have. And that's how I explain it to people who are in that more Christian.
Right. Intention is the most powerful tool in practicing any of those things, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, astrology is how we were informed of Christ's birth. The Magi themselves looked up at the heavens and went, yes.
Yes, there it is.
And so let's be there.
He has arrived.
Let's be there. One thing I wanted to know, super interested in this Mercury conjunction with Pluto. The word that came to mind was whistleblowing for me.
Ooh, I like that.
And it felt like it could either be on a personal level or collective level. So from a collective perspective, maybe there's hidden data or some unearthing coming to light, thinking like WikiLeaks type information being brought forward. Or on a personal level, family secrets, truths that have been buried for a long time getting revealed. Maybe it's even like getting your 23andMe, like
your ancestry
data back and finding out something you didn't know, connecting to a lost loved one you didn't know existed, things like that.
I think Mercury South Node, as in the South Node's in Virgo now, like that double underline what you just said.
Love it.
Yeah, for sure. And then North Node's in Pisces, so it might be a bit healing to figure, things seem less random when you're like, oh my gosh, this all makes sense now.
It's connected. Like you start to see things that are like connected, and it's more than a coincidence at that point, right?
And it makes you feel like more than a coincidence.
And you don't feel crazy. It's like, why? I don't understand. Like, make this make sense.
Yeah.
And then the truth comes out and you're like, oh, no wonder.
Right.
Now this makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like when you start to trust your intuition more and more because you realize that it's always been right.
It's always been right.
Yeah.
If something is kind of scratching, itching at the back of your mind, there's probably a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's
like
great.
follow those threads. I think you can pull on those threads on this Lunation Day.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of threads, we've arrived to the end of this one, and we are going to stop for a break for a word from our sponsors.
Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. Whether at home or on the go, NordVPN ensures your digital freedom. Stay secure. Download NordVPN today at nordvpn.com. That's NORDVPN.com. At Rolls Rolla, we don't just sell wallpaper, we create cohesive, cozy spaces. Our deep understanding of design means every pattern, color, and texture is carefully chosen to complement your home. Plus, we use advanced technology and water-based inks for vibrant, eco-friendly prints, ensuring a healthier environment. Visit rollsrolla.com to transform your space today. That's ROLLSROLLA.com today.
All right. Jordan, you want to introduce our top transits?
Yes. So our next transit here in our top 3 is Uranus stations direct at 23 degrees Taurus on Thursday, January 30th at 10:15 a.m.
And Taurus is our fixed earth sign ruled by Venus, and where the moon exalts, it's the second sign represented by the bull and ruling the neck, the throat, the shoulders, and the ears. So more talking and listening vibes here. But we love a direct station because Uranus, hey, the outer planets are retrograde a lot, but Uranus has been retrograde since September 1st of this past year, and it will be direct until this coming September. So there's going to be some change, disruption, innovation that's going to stick.
I love that versus kind of having to go, that perception of moving backwards with any retrograde. It's an illusion. It's an optical illusion. Obviously, no planets are literally moving backward, but from our perspective. So it's like, where have things from your perspective looked like we're backtracking or losing the momentum or, being stuck? And this is that realignment of forward motion of, and this is true in outer planets and inner planets, but just that feeling of, okay, we're moving in a positive direction. And what this reminds me of, honestly, is how presidents will do executive orders and then the next president will just undo the executive order.
Which is probably going to happen. Uranus was retrograde when we had the election and when we had the inauguration.
Isn't that insane?
Yeah.
And so, but this reallocation of resources, innovation in agriculture, because of Tauran things, economic shifts, these are all things that I feel hopeful that we can actually move in a good way. I don't think it's going to be the great undoing. It could be, inadvertently we're doing things that collectively are for the good of all.
Right.
I'm hopeful for that.
Would it be like a slow and intentional movement too? Like moving forward, or do you think it's going to be a pretty fast?
Uranus doesn't like to be slow and intentional, but Taurus is incredibly slow and intentional. So I think it could be stop-start.
Okay.
Kind of a great example of Uranus retrograde in Taurus has been, you know how Red 3 was banned just recently with Uranus retrograde? So it's banned in foods. Well, it's been banned in cosmetics for decades. So it's like,
I know that. Yeah.
yeah, of course, they say it causes cancer, but I can see us then being like, well, let's ban Red 40.
Yeah.
Let's ban this. And it might happen all of a sudden, even though these movements, people have been against food dyes and they've been associating them
For
with
years.
Yeah, exactly.
Forever.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like the overnight success 10 years in the making kind of
Right.
thing.
Okay.
Where it's like all of a sudden the work of generations or decades is paying off. And it's like boom,
shift.
boom, boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Uranus has 7-year cycles in each sign. And so what we're seeing is Uranus at the end of Taurus. So think about the past like 5.5 years and kind of what the different changes have been within the food supply, economic changes. I mean, think about like all of a sudden AI is literally everything. And it's huge part of the economy. Cryptocurrency is a huge part of the economy. That's all just happened in the last 5.5 to 6 years. So I think there'll be more disruption to those markets, but there might also be some positive shift. I'm thinking specifically in like domestic technology with Mars retrograde in Cancer. So maybe like something that makes the home easier, kind of like dishwashers being invented, right? But also maybe some shift as to where money is, right? TikTok's gone. So all of a sudden, how many people's incomes are just like evaporating?
We're on TikTok.
Yeah.
And when you're listening to this, TikTok could be unbanned. We don't know.
Yeah, we at this point we don't know. It's up in the air. It's kind of floating in limbo.
That's Mercury, Pluto.
Yeah,
We don't know.
yeah.
Well, and it's like, where are people going to migrate? Again, these like we're in this Aquarius season, community, collective. Yeah. There's a whole community, and people are throwing a fit, saying, "I will never move to Instagram. I will never because I don't want to support Meta, don't want to support Google. YouTube is a very different platform." Than TikTok. So is, Red Note going to be the thing? This other Chinese app that lives on the App Store that
is not in English, and yet my 15-year-old is on it like hardcore now already.
Is that hilarious? Or will there be some innovation, some new idea, new place? People are interesting, and the way that they move and navigate these large power dynamics that are happening in the skies, we just don't know. And I think we'll see big shifts in economics. On a personal level, I really think this is a good time to think about where your money is flowing. Are you spending in a sustainable way? Think about my practice of spending XYZ right now. Is that good for the long term? Right. How can I set myself up for the long term financially? Like, if you don't have life insurance, maybe this is when you get it. If you don't have an IRA or a retirement plan, maybe this is where you open that. And just being really intentional about where your economic resources are flowing.
Funny, as a sun in Taurus, Mercury in Taurus, I've been like totally having a battle, Uranian style, with my relationship with money. About 7 years ago, 6.5 years ago, I just got rid of a bank account and tried to like live on faith and hope, and I was giving my money to everybody else. I'm like, I don't need anything.
Faith and hope and dreams.
Yes.
And then that was clearly not sustainable. And so reopened bank account, got my credit back, etc. But I'm feeling what you're saying, where it's like, okay, maybe I need to also get more serious about my savings accounts. I'm not young anymore.
I've been very focused on my savings account, a little too much. Like it was kind of in more of like a paranoid way.
Yeah.
The last few months, but I'm trying to like relax and be like, I have a savings account. It's okay. Like I can slowly build it. Yeah.
Yes. Not to be so worked up and in fear over, will this money all evaporate? Because we've seen money is like an illusion, right?
Yeah.
It's real and it's not. Yeah. It's real and it's not.
Right.
Crypto is real and it's not. And so we just don't know what systems and power structures around our economics and the way we make a living will be sustained. So I feel like diversity is the name of the game here.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people too, especially in the wake of some natural disasters, will be investing heavily in land. And I think a lot of the new aristocracy, if you will, which is another Uranus and Taurus thing, a lot of the new moneyed class is buying up land hardcore.
That's exactly. I know. It's interesting.
Yeah.
And it's like the what comes to mind is the McDonald's empire, when not the founders, but the man that came in and like started franchising McDonald's. He had an accountant that told him, "You're not in the restaurant business. You're in the real estate business."
Yep.
And he went around and bought the plots of land, and then the franchisees would like run the business on top of the land, but the McDonald's corporate owned that square, that plot. And that's what made it such a expansive, multi-billion-dollar company.
Wow.
And I think we're going to see new spaces and places becoming centers and hubs of commerce. Not just always like LA is going to be, laying low for a while.
Oh yeah.
So where is all that money going to go?
Yeah. It could be something super surprising. Like maybe it's Sedona or like Arizona, Nevada, Montana, where we get that perception of like more wide open spaces versus ultra dense urban areas.
I mean, we're here in Texas too, and I'm just saying there are 2,000 people a day moving to this state. It's the fastest growing state in the union. We're also, President Trump, talking about buying other spaces and making them, like Puerto Rico wants statehood. Maybe we're going to buy Greenland. Who knows?
I would love it if Puerto Rico became a state. It would be great for Puerto Ricans. All right. That's fascinating.
So let's transition to our next top transit, and that is Venus entering Aries on Tuesday, February 4th at 1:57 in the morning. Venus, of course, is ruling this Uranus, who has just stationed. So there'll be a vibe shift about a week afterwards, because Aries is our cardinal fire sign, ruled by Mars, which Mars is retrograde in a place it hates. It's the first sign in the zodiac represented by the ram, and it rules the head, eyes, adrenals, and blood. So talking stress.
Yeah, this is such a fun. I love seeing how these dynamics play out with Venus. I'm obsessed with Venus. It's my favorite planet. But this is like hot, heavy love at first sight. I love that we'll be doing this over Valentine's Day.
I was gonna say right before Valentine's Day too.
Yeah, so this could be like the best Valentine's Day ever, or the absolute worst Valentine's Day ever. Like disastrous.
The chemistry is like
exploded.
Yeah.
It's either like hot and heavy and steamy and yummy, or it's explosive and
too
problematic.
Much. Yeah.
So Venus is in her
Obsessive.
detriment here in
Right.
Aries, which means she can act counter to her best interests. And I'm saying this as a natal Venus in Aries. I found myself writing this out, and I used some of the things you just said: thrill-seeking, adrenaline junkie, shiny objects, light my fire, love of the game, pleasure-seeking, attraction, getting your head turned.
Fuck the consequences. Yeah, fuck it.
Exactly.
I'll deal with it later.
Because Aries is the youngest sign in the zodiac. So it's like, I see that, I want it.
Yeah.
Impulsive. Yeah. This is like hopping on a plane, doing a trip, getting like eloping. Like all of a sudden we're getting married, or we're going to Vegas, or
Both my marriages have happened in less than a year.
see. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's our
Venus
our
and
natal
Aries, yeah.
Venus and Aries.
And
She's
one of
got
them
it.
tried to kill me. So again, Venus and Aries.
Holy shit.
Literally.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that we can laugh about dark things.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because Venus and Aries is also like, how do I put this? She can do the BDSM. Like,
Oh,
I don't
she
know a
can handle
single
it.
Venus and
Yeah.
Aries that has not experienced intimate partner violence.
Yeah. Wow. Well, my Venus is in Scorpio, so it manifests differently.
Yeah,
But
but
it's there.
honestly, that intensity is there. Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's just a different.
Venus's other sign of detriment.
Yeah.
I think it is interesting, though, that Mars, which is ruling Aries and ruling this Venus, it is in a very, very, very tough spot.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, interestingly enough, this Venus in Aries, like there will be a retrograde here. So she's going to be there for longer than usual. Mars will station on the 23rd of February, which is a little bit before Venus stations retrograde on March 4th. So I think that on the 23rd, we'll see a tipping point, and there might be a bit more negative Venus in Aries before. And then we're like, oh, I just like totally got myself beat up and cut up, and now I'm going to like maybe heal a little bit and
Right.
use my head a
Sitting in
little
the
bit
nurse's
more.
office, for a couple hours.
Mm-hmm. But I think this transit can be really good for some things. Like if you've been afraid of doing something, or if you've lacked confidence, or if we're not in our bodies, like we can definitely do more physical, more confident things with Venus and Aries. Finding mojo, like love as a verb, making headway towards passion, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, it can feel really good. I'm excited to see. I love that we have in here self-deprecating humor.
Yeah.
This is really like we can lighten up
Yeah.
and not take love so seriously. Like maybe it's falling in love with something silly, like
Mhm.
your new favorite show, or something lighthearted and young and youthful.
Potty humor.
Yeah, potty humor. Yeah, exactly. It's like getting a kick out of something silly or juvenile.
It's funny. I just recently acquired an Oracle deck,
Mm-hmm.
and I actually haven't really played around with it that much because I just haven't made the time to and like sit and actually connect with it or anything. And about a week ago, I like finally decided I was like, I need to meditate a little bit. I'm just gonna like fuck around with this deck because I
Find
haven't
out.
used it yet. And so I kind of just did a general like, what's my theme for this year? Like what, like because they're archetypes. That's what the Oracle deck is. And I got the comic. And I'm actually really excited about that.
That's
And that
so
kind of
Venus
reminds me
retrograde.
of this like energy, because there's definitely like highs to it, and there's also the shadow aspect to
Mhm.
each archetype as well. But yeah, self-deprecating humor, finding the light though, finding the joy in things. It's a way to connect with people, right? Humor is like a really great tool to connect with others.
That's so true.
Yeah, so I thought it was hilarious. I was like, oh, this is exactly that energy.
Oh, Venus retrograde in Aries is totally the comic. And I think that if you want to reference back, and I know some of us are too young to really reference this well, but the last time Venus was retrograde in this area was around February, March, so late winter, spring of 2007.
Oh.
So whatever we were doing then, or the themes that we were working on, those will be what's up, although in their newest form or iteration.
Interesting. I was a child then, so curious.
Oh my gosh, I feel so old. I was in college.
I was a freshman in high school.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, 07. Rachel, what were you saying? 2017.
Oh, okay. I was like, wow. I was like, I don't
17.
really know. To be honest, I was like, I don't know the theme.
No,
17.
Rachel, sorry, y'all. Retrogrades.
Retrogrades. Oh.
No, 17's even better because I know exactly what I was going through during that time.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. That was the first time I started working in meditation.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
I had no idea. I was not into any kind of spirituality at that time. I had pulled away from Christianity pretty completely. And I was just kind of like floating around.
In kind of the no man's land.
Yeah, kind of floating around, but I wasn't really happy. I wasn't being myself. I wasn't truly myself yet.
Well, and look at where the Aries sector of your chart is. It's in my 9th house. So the idea that I'm like, let's find meditation.
Yeah, that
it makes sense. Yeah.
A lot of sense.
Very natal Venus in Aries, and it was more important than some. If you have no Aries placements, you might be like, not much was going down, but it could be if you have some placements there. And Venus will be in Aries for a while. So she doesn't re-enter Pisces during this retrograde cycle until March 27th. So this is a solid, long time.
Yeah.
February 4th to March 27th, almost 2 months of Venus in Aries. And I will love this as a natal Venus in Aries. But some of us might find it very challenging. We might end up bumping our heads, if you will, or maybe getting into some, ready, fire, aim.
Yeah.
Getting some stuff that we're like, oh, I don't actually want that at all. I jumped into something impulsively.
Like, oh shit, what have I done? Now I
Yeah.
have to follow through.
Unintended consequences.
Yeah.
Unintended consequences. That's good.
Definitely. And I don't see people committing during this time. I mean, if you have some placements that suggest that, yes. But if you get into a hot and heavy, right?
Yeah.
Some like it hot relationship, Venus stations on March 10th. So if you last a lot past March 10th, okay, cool. Otherwise, just it might be a fling.
Yeah, it's probably going to burn out.
Yeah, light and fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, keep it light and fun. Keep the
light
calm.
and fun. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Save on Cox Internet when you add Cox Mobile and get fiber-powered internet at home and unbeatable 5G reliability on the go. So whether you're playing a game at home,
Yes, goal!
or attending one live, you can do more without spending more. Learn how to save at cox.com/internet. Cox Internet is connected to the premises via coaxial cable. Cox Mobile runs on the network with unbeatable 5G reliability as measured by Ookla LLC in the U.S. 2H 2023. Results may vary, not an endorsement. Other restrictions apply.
Exactly. Speaking of light and fun, April.
Yes, let's do our third transit of this lunar cycle. We've got Jupiter stationing direct at 11 degrees of Gemini on Tuesday, February 4th at 3:37 a.m. Central Time.
Same day as Venus enters Aries. So we've
Damn.
got the mood shifts.
Yeah.
The mood shifts in a big way. So what kind of flavor does this add? I mean, Jupiter is not a fan of Gemini, correct? It's in its detriment, yeah.
It's in its detriment. And, Gemini is the mutable air sign ruled by Mercury. It's represented by the twins. It rules the lungs, nerves, arms, hands, and vocal cords. So we've definitely got some head, neck, we're working with essentially the arms and up in the body. But Gemini's ruler Mercury will be in Aquarius at the time when the shift happens. So I think it will be a more positive manifestation than it could be if Mercury was really debilitated.
Yeah, that's how I was feeling too. It's not the best aspect, but it's actually not bad. There's some good omens here.
And some of what I've written about Jupiter and Gemini is you can, on the difficult time or difficult side of it, you can be overly analytical, facts as a buzzkill, asking too many questions, sort of pontificating or long soliloquies, talking people's ear off.
Overstimulating.
Yeah, exactly. I have that written down here. Yeah. or vacillating, being like, oh wait, I want this. Oh no, wait, I want that. Oh no, wait.
And would the air kind of fuel the fire a little bit?
Oh
yeah.
yes.
Oh, that's good.
Right?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh yes. And you can talk yourself either into a corner or in circles.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so Venus and Aries might be like, oh my God, go get that. And Jupiter's like, well, maybe, should we? Well, yeah, we should. And no, yeah. And then it's gone. And you're like, well, I will never know. So,
I will never know. Yeah.
and
Yes.
it depends on whether Gemini or Aries is more prominent in your chart, which if you'll already be there and Jupiter's like, oh, wait, that was a bad idea. That's not to your higher good. That's just an immediate desire.
But we already did it. Oh,
instant gratification. Exactly. But it will be really good for some things. And I've said this in the last couple of podcasts, but file your freaking taxes.
I'm a maniac
Literally.
and I already did.
They're good.
Because I was like, I mean, I only
Mercury and
had,
Capricorns.
I knew I was going to, like, it wasn't going to take me long. And I
Mhm.
knew how it was going to go. I was like, I'm just going to get this. It was a chore. I just wanted to get it over with.
Smart. Yeah. I have a complicated tax situation.
Yeah.
So I need to start like actually, well, I have to wait for like 1099s and
Oh,
all the
Lord,
paperwork
yeah.
to come in. So that's always like the longest thing. It's just like waiting
Just
for
sitting
everything.
there, like, just
Like,
waiting.
Waiting for my mail. But yeah, this is a good time to get organized. Like I need to do a P&L for my business
Yeah.
and like I can do all the prep work. I usually always file for an extension anyway because my accountant is wonderful but small and I'm like a tiny fish and he has bigger fish. So I'm like,
So it takes a
just-
minute.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just file that extension
Yeah.
and then we'll get it in there when he's ready.
Your girl over here's got 2 W-2s. Boom.
Boom. I had
Easy
one.
peasy.
I had one. It was the first time I had only one job.
It's the easiest thing
In
ever.
years,
You're like,
yeah.
click, click, click.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, thanks TurboTax. Bye.
See you later.
Yeah, the life of the entrepreneur. I'm like,
Yeah.
Ooh, how many tax breaks can I get? I launched
Right.
an LLC.
You have to dig deeper. Yeah.
Yeah,
to,
so-
in order to actually benefit.
I know. So I need this help for
Yeah.
sure. I'm like, this is for me.
Good.
So filing that extension in your
Yeah.
case. But if anyone, I know so many people with Jupiter and Gemini that have been talking to me, specifically clients, about their writing projects, wanting to get those done. So with
Mhm.
Jupiter Direct, like you can start writing, and you might be even like creating new forms of content, design, trying out new platforms, mediums. And there'll be a lot of, I think, like networking, campaigning, social, like
Mhm.
that kind of stuff. And if you've been kind of internal or hermitish, this might be a Venus and Aries, Jupiter and Gemini direct. Like, let's get out.
Yeah.
Let's go out and get excited. And,
Yeah.
raise funds for something or whatever.
Yeah. Be social. Yeah.
Yeah, I have here like this could be an opportunity for bursts of mental energy, just having kind of an epiphany, a download, like, oh, I got to get this out right now, like sitting in front of a computer and typing furiously for a couple hours and like finally getting the thing on paper you've been dying to get on paper, an end to writer's block. It could also be, expansive networking, connecting to new groups. I think there could be a lot of positive, just kind of almost in an extreme way.
Yeah.
Like not in a small way, but in an extreme way.
Well, we like Jupiter direct much better than Jupiter retrograde because it's a planet we feel and sense in our own lives, not just in the collective. And it's been retrograde since October 9th. So if you check out the Gemini sector of your chart and you're like, yeah, I haven't gotten anything really done in a substantial way in that area since this time, or I've been reevaluating it, kind of fixing things up, you can actually move forward there and it will remain direct in Gemini. It's not going to retrograde here again. So it enters Cancer on June 9th. But between now and June 9th, all the Gemini stuff, all the progress.
That's so good. I need
Yes.
that.
Yeah. I need that too.
And a lot of the change. So this Aquarian lunation, right? We've been kind of discussing how there might be some realizations, epiphanies, value shifts, etc. I feel like this Jupiter direct is going to be like, all right, now let's implement that.
Yeah.
Now let's make it real.
Enough planning. Yeah. Let's go through with it.
Yeah, enough
Yeah.
ideas.
Yeah.
Let's actually get it
Yeah, let's
into
do it.
set the motion forward in doing the thing.
Yeah. And I've been a lot more intentional and consistent with my art. More like a little bit more, not to the point where I'm like stressed out about it, but I'm like proud of the consistency that I've
Your
had.
creative output.
Yeah. My
Very Jupiter and
discipline.
Gemini.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited. I'm excited that I had the privilege to get my tax return done and over with so I can actually focus on my other values or things that are important to me.
And it's really good to mention that actually, that with the nodes being in the mutable signs of Pisces and Virgo, and with also Saturn being in Pisces, that dedication or that sort of discipline around mutable sign things is going to be really positive for this Jupiter too, because Jupiter and Saturn have been holding this pretty tight square for a while, and they're still in a square configuration. They will square themselves again from the beginning of Aries and the beginning of Cancer later on this year. But that kind of feels like being not pinched, but being challenged to up level in some sort of a way. And I feel like that kind of discipline is the best way to
right. And I know I'm capable of it. My natal Saturn is in Aquarius, so I can do it. It's just, will I, or do I want to?
That desire has to organically exist.
I can do it though. I know I have the discipline. It's just a matter if I actually apply it.
Well, Venus in Capricorn, we know you can.
I know.
You just have to want it.
Oh, shucks.
And not want to want it, but actually want it.
Actually want it.
Yeah, it has to be real.
For sure. Yeah, my Mars is in Aquarius.
Ooh.
So yeah, in my 7th house.
Okay.
Getting things done through social.
Yep.
Through social, through relationships.
Especially Leo rising
Through connection.
style.
Oh
yeah.
Through connection.
Community.
Yeah. I'm into that.
Yes.
And I'm into the next lunation. It's going to be a full moon in Leo happening on Wednesday, February 12th. Now, I like it because the sun and the moon are going to be exchanging, right?
We love it when they have a conversation.
Yeah. The moon and the sun sign. Well, I guess they're not exchanging, but the sun's not in a great place, but the moon's going to be like, but look, here's your beaubeautiful face.
Hey,
We're
girl.
reflecting it back.
Yeah.
Take a look at yourself.
Look at yourself.
Yeah.
You're so pretty.
And it can be nice, I think, to have, especially with all the light fire air energy that we're talking about, to have another little fire bit. It can be kind of vibey, exciting.
Leo's a very positive, fun sign. Yeah, I enjoy Leo.
We could all use positivity with Saturn and Pisces.
Yeah,
absolutely.
All right. Well,
thank
you
you.
all.
Yeah, okay.
We'll see you next time.
We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production.